everyone, it's Sharonda from Pay or Wait, and today we're going to be reviewing The Handmaid's Tale Season 3, Episode 6, Household. Y'all, this episode had my nerves bad. My nerves is really bad this episode. It was just a lot going on. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's get into it. So the episode opens up where we see the Marthas are outside basically praying for baby Nicole to come back. So we see that the message that the Waterfords sent all over the world just has everyone kind of in their feelings, trying to like pray for baby Nicole to be returned safely back to Gilead. And so we see that June is kind of talking inside of her head where she says that she prays that Serena comes back to her senses, comes back to the person that she thought that she was, or basically she hopes that their prayers get unanswered, or she just hopes that Serena gets hit by a truck. She was like, she down for whichever option. I was like, you know what, June? I'm down for whichever option as well, because Serena has got to go. I'm still mad at Serena. Ugh, she gets on my nerves. So we see that June is putting some stuff up, and Commander Lawrence is like, can Martha do that? And she's like, I'm just trying to make myself useful. And I was like, sorry, you be talking about how she don't be doing nothing and make herself useful, which is a nod to a previous episode in this season. But he tells her like, well, you need to go pack. The Waterfords needs to borrow you. They want to take you to DC because they're trying to garner more attention to force Canada to basically have to give baby Nicole back. So Fred is on his little publicity media tour trying to, well, it seems as though he's trying to help get baby Nicole back, but we later see that Fred is really trying to boost his own ambitions to fulfill his need for power to rise up within the ranks of Gilead. I like how June checked Commander Lawrence, like, don't say his daughter. Don't say that. And I was like, be respectful, okay? But we see that they take the train to DC, and when they get to DC, y'all, I thought that Gilead was bad enough, but we see the capital, DC, is just, it is Gilead just on steroids. Everything is just so serious. We see that the handmaids, they have their mouths covered. They're silent. They're very serious about roles there. When Lydia tells her like, hey, like go to your spot. Like they don't play that mess here. I was just like, June, please don't try nothing, because it really does seem like they don't play. And I'm just really scared. June had me on edge, because you never know when June's going to act out. She tends to do it at the wrong times. So she just had me on edge this entire episode. We see that in the episode that June is trying to talk to the handmaid of George, who's a part of the Commander Winslow's household, which I was like, hey, Christopher Maloney. And then I forgot the other girl's name. She was on Grey's Anatomy, had the face transplant, and then she was also on The Haunting of Hill House. But I was like, I miss you, Chris. They canceled his show. I was like, it was nice to see you. But we see that they have a nice house, and then all these kids come running in. I said, excuse me, where'd y'all get all these kids from? How many handmaids do you have? Because y'all got a lot. I think they had like 5 or 6 kids. I was just like, my goodness, like I can't even take it. And so Serena and Fred were kind of taking it back. June and Rita, they were taken aback. And I love how Rita and June, when they see each other at the train station, where she's like, I miss you. And then June's like, I miss you too. And I was like, I miss y'all too, girl. But I thought that was super cute. But we see that June, after she's taken to the quarters where she would be staying, she's trying to talk to the handmaid. And I was like, damn, this handmaid being really rude. But then when she takes off her mask and she turns to her, her lips have been sewn shut. And I was just like, oh my God. I was just like, what is going on here? This is too much. Like, wow. And so even June is just like, she's trying to like remain calm, but you see she turns away and she like has to hold in like her reaction of like wanting to cry. And I was just like, I just don't know about DC right now. I just don't know about it. But we also see that, so Fred basically has this whole week plan where they're coming to see, they're coming to do more media, more press, to put out more videos to try to pressure the Canadians. And so he's staging one of these kind of pictures where he telling people where to go, got June telling the handmaids what to do. I just like, Fred, I just can't stand him. But we even see Lydia's looking at the girls like mouths and stuff. Even she looks like, just like her spirit is unsettled, because just like, what the hell? And I was hoping that Lydia was like, ooh, this is a nice idea to take back where we at. But I'm glad that Lydia was just as disturbed as everyone else when they saw what they did to their handmaids. And so June's still trying to talk to Serena this whole episode, trying to reason with her. We saw that's why she got excited when Commander Lawrence told her that she was going with the water first. She asked, was Serena going to be going? And so she's still trying to plead and beg to change Serena's mind, to tell her, like, I know you don't want to do this. And I was like, June, stop. Serena is a lost cause. But we see towards the end of the episode, she finally understands that, like, hey, this is not the right route that I need to go. Serena is not the way to freedom. I just need to let this girl be, because she can't be saved. And so while they're planning one of these pictures and videos, we see Nick, and I was just saying, like, where did Nick go? Y'all just, like, took him away. Y'all sent him away. Is he dead? Is he alive? Nick pop up. He looking all cute with his little trench coat. I said, hey, Commander, you still ain't ish, but hey. And so we see that Fred asks him to stand in, and he does. And then he said something cute to June, like, a girl like you in a place like this. And then they, like, touch hands. I was like, oh my goodness, I just pulling at my heartstrings. But why did Fred call Nick's son? I was like, that's not your son. And then we hear that, that Nick is basically going to be moved to Chicago any day now. He just doesn't know when. He just got intercepted by the Winslows when he was making his journey. But it was so nice to see them together. But June tries to talk to Serena again. And then she tells her, like, our girl deserves better. Like, I know you don't want this. And I'm just like, girl, just stop it. I just cannot deal. But while they're there, Fred comes in, and he basically tells them that they're making progress, that the Canadians asked the Swiss to interview them. They're going to kind of mediate in between Gilead and the Canadians and try to have some talks to see what their course of action is going to be. And so And so the Swiss interview the Fred and Serena separately. And so they have their interview is going well. And so there's a lot of things that are happening with Fred and Serena. They're still not back to where they need to be. They're sleeping in separate rooms. Fred even comes in to check on Serena and then also give her wedding ring, because they need to make sure that the optics are on point for this entire trip. But also too, we see that there was a good interaction that happens between Fred and Serena when they arrive at the Winslow's place, and he basically tells Serena, because she was like, we should have stayed at a hotel, like, we don't need to stay with them. He was like, you don't need to be nervous. And then he was just like, this is a great opportunity. And when Serena looks at him and says, for whom, it's like, yeah, because Fred is trying to make it seem as though he's doing all of this for Serena. He wants to make her happy. He wants to get baby Nicole back so they can get their family back on track. But as we see, as he has conversations with Mr. Winslow, that he's really trying to help his own political ambitions. We see Mr. Winslow tells him, like, I wasn't sure about you at first, but I think that you can see yourself. I can see you having a posting in DC. And so Fred is trying to make sure that everything is top notch so he can make sure that they can secure a place like in the Capitol, which would be 10 times better than what they're doing now. And so I think it's also interesting too that Serena and Mrs. Winslow, they have a conversation. She tells her, like, hey, I was a huge fan of your book. It saved my life. It saved our life. And we learned that the Winslows, they were both big time lawyers at corporate firms. They worked at separate firms, didn't have time to think about a family. But she talks about how Serena's book basically saved her life, saved their family, to where now they have all these children that they can possibly care for. And so, I found it interesting that the Swiss asked to talk to June by themselves. And so they interview Fred and Serena, and then they asked to talk to her by herself. And then Serena is come and sit by her and talk about, don't be stupid. And I was like, nah, June, this is time for you to be stupid. say what you got to say, girl. And so Fred was trying to say, well, we can go with her. They were like, nah, we good. We can talk to her by herself. And so June got a little look on her face like, yeah, bitch, now what? I'm finna tell it all. And I was like, tell it all, June, tell it all. And so she's having a conversation with the Swiss. And so basically she's asking them, so they tell her that they've heard about the tape. They know about Nick, and so this makes her happy because she knows that Luke got the tape as well, and so she knows that her message was sent over to Luke. And so we know that right now the problem is that everyone is afraid of Gilead's military defenses. And so a lot of these countries, we've been wondering, why has no one stepped in to stop what is happening? But I also find it very interesting because it's kind of parallels to what is happening right now. We have issues of things that are happening in Sudan and other countries, and how there's always this big topic on how people feel as though America needs to step in to help other countries. And so we're kind of seeing this play out because the whole time we're just wondering, how has everyone like allowed this to happen? How did all of these other countries allow Gilead to take place? And now we see that they feel as though that they're defenseless against their military because they don't know anything about them. They haven't been able to study them. They need more information to know who really has the power. What is the central power or a stronghold that they could take out? It seems like it will be DC, but how do they know for sure? Like, what is their course of attack if they really want to bring down Gilead? And so they're explaining this to June. And so basically June says, what can you do? Like, what do I need to do to help you? And so she's like, my number one priority is to make sure that Nicole stays in Canada. And so she tells them, what if I can get a commander to talk to you? And they're like, are you talking about the child's father, Nick? And then she was like, I can get them to come talk to you if that will help Nicole stay in Canada. And so they make a deal. And so later that night, we see that June is in bed, and then the Martha comes to her and tells her someone's outside for you. It's Nick. They start kissing, which start giving me like, I would start stressing out again because I was like, y'all, why y'all just outside all willy-nilly kissing and stuff? Like, people can't be around watching. Like, this is new territory. Y'all just be real reckless, and I just never understand it. June and Nick just gives me several heart attacks every single time they're together. But she basically tells Nick like, hey, this is the plan. This is what I need you to do. And he was just like, you cannot trust the government. Like, I don't know why you think that they're trying to help you, but they're not. Like, they have their own agenda. They have their own intentions. As we see, Serena has her own agenda. She just wants baby Nicole. She just wants a baby. She just wants to be able to love something and have something love her back. Fred is trying to secure his own ambitions. And then we see that the Swiss, we don't really know if we can trust them. And it seems that they have ulterior motives as well. And even June, she really just wants to make sure her child is safe at this point, and so she can get Hannah. So I love how we kind of talk about alliances. We talk about what are people's motivations for the things that they do throughout the course of this episode. And it seems that everyone's motivations really revolve around themselves. And so he basically tells her, okay, I'll do it. I'll go talk to them, whatever. I was just like, June, you just stay trying to get Nick killed every single chance that you get. It's just too much. It just makes me uneasy. So we see that afterwards, we see that one of the Swiss, they're at the Winslow's place. They're talking to Fred. And so she's trying to ask her, like, what happened? And she basically tells her, like, girl, we can't use Nick. He cannot be trusted. Like, I don't know if you never knew what he was doing before. And it totally slipped my mind that Nick was a part of the crusade to take down the government and get Gilead going. Like, it totally slipped my mind. I don't know why I've just like had this lovely picture of Nick and he just makes me so happy. But yeah, Nick is one of the bad guys too. And we don't really know, has he been fully reformed? Does he still believe in the same things? We're not sure about that. And it was really creepy when we see Nick on the train and they saluting him. He just looked really creepy and really bad guy-ish. And I just didn't know how I felt about Nick anymore. And so we see that they have to do one last video. this big video that takes place outside of the Lincoln Memorial. And it's a very stunning image that we see of the handmaids and everyone standing around. But before that, June is at the Lincoln Memorial, and basically she sees she's standing in front of Lincoln, what's left of him. We see that they've gotten rid of his face and they've gotten rid of the words that sit above Lincoln. And so Serena comes up, and then basically they have this whole back and forth. So finally they get to talk because they have a conversation before, but Serena tells June before, like, seeing Nicole changed everything. Like, I don't feel the same way. I just want my baby at this point. And she was just like, I understand that, but like, she's not safe here. Like, you may want her, but it still shouldn't change that you still understand that it's not safe for her to grow up here. Like, you have to realize that at this point. And so I love how before we even get to that scene, I spoke too soon, her and Lydia kind of have this discussion. And so Lydia hands her the mask that covers their mouth that has silence, because all the handmaids there have a vow of silence. And so when she tells Lydia, like, can I ask you a question? And she says, like, do you want to silence us? And we see the tears form in Lydia's eyes, and she says no. And it's like, Lydia is a very, very complex character. You want to hate her, but you also see that she truly does care for the handmaid. She takes her role seriously, and she even tells her, like, if I can just help one person, then that's good enough for me. Like, I just want to help. I want to have purpose. And when she kind of consoles June, and I just really felt it, because we talk so much about women being silenced right now, what's happening with abortion laws. Even today, I think the president met with all these men to discuss maternity issues. It's so hard to watch The Handmaid's Tale, because lines get blurred from reality versus television. And even though we know we're watching a show, a lot of these things pre-Gilead are starting to play out right now in our country. And so that's what makes the show just so hard to watch at times. And that whole conversation between them of June, of us visually seeing their silence now being taken away. Their lives have already been taken away. Their bodies have basically been taken away from them. And all they have left is their voice at the times where they can talk amongst themselves. And we see in DC that has also been taken away. And so it's almost like this last step in her really seeing what Gilead can become, and it can become even worse than she could have ever imagined. And so they have this back and forth, and Serena walks up next to her talking about, oh, the silence is nice. And I'm like, say something, say one more thing, Serena, because you've been trying it this whole episode. And so June says, like, you can return the favor, and they kind of have it out because, Serena's just like, you know what? I just want to be done with this whole thing so we can come to DC and I can be rid of you forever. And she was like, girl, boo-boo, you will never be rid of me. Until I have both my kids, you will never ever be rid of me. Like, I need you to understand that. And so she basically tells her, like, I love Nicole. And June tells her, you're not capable of love. You don't love her. She called her small. She's called her a child. It said that she's empty inside, and she's always going to be empty inside. And the fact that Serena built this entire world, came up with this entire ideal to help fill that void, to fill that emptiness, because really, June is in this situation because of Serena. Like, I think we really failed to realize that Serena is the one who, like, came up with the concept of what Gilead is. And so I don't understand why Serena sometimes tries to remove herself or make it seem as she's an ally when really she's the problem. Like, she started all of this. So that's why I would never be down for Serena. And then Serena tells her, I think she said, like, I should have put a ring in her mouth from the day I met you. And then June was like, I should have let you burn when I had the chance. I said, girl, you should have. Actually, can you just throw her down the steps? Can you just get rid of her right now? Because this, like, ain't nobody around. Just do what you got to do, girl. I won't tell nobody. But I love how they have this weird relationship where they understand each other and they probably know each other more than anyone else does. And June sees Serena for who she is. And so even when she tries at the beginning of the episode, she still feels as though Serena can be saved. But now she truly sees that there is no redemption for Serena Joy. Her own motivations, her own ambitions will always cloud her judgment from what's right versus what is wrong. And so I think June finally realizes that she has to become like them if she's going to save herself, save her daughter, and save Nicole. And so we see this final display that Fred has for his last video where all the handmaids are kind of out there and he's doing this like call of prayer. And so we see June kneel down, and it's just a really powerful image, the imagery of seeing like all of these handmaids, but also too, it could be a little of foreshadowing as we see all of these handmaids basically replicating or doing everything that June does. It could simplify the revolution that is yet to come, that she will inevitably be the leader of the handmaids to deliver them out of their bondage. And so I like where this season is going so far. I know a lot of people have been saying that the season is a little bit slow, but I think that these things need to happen. I think that June finally needed to realize that she will never have an ally in Serena. And if she's really going to lead this resistance, if she's really going to help, she needs to understand that and be out for herself and for her children. And so I think overall, this is still a great episode. It was a very scary episode to see how worse Gilead could be, how, you know, even when Lydia, they're just like, I just want to go home. Like, we thought what we had was bad. I just want to go back to what we have because I would take that over this any day, anytime, anywhere. So I like this episode and I'm excited to see where the rest of this season is going. I think that this is kind of the pivotal changing point in the mid-season that is really going to fast track us to see how this resistance is going to build up. So those are my thoughts on The Handmaid's Tale Season 3, Episode 6, Household. Okay, so as always, my name is Serena from Pay Your Weights, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you guys soon.